If there's one person in this world who could charm their way out of a locked vault, it's my sister, Vanessa. She's the kind of person who could crash your car, blame you for parking it in the wrong place, and somehow everyone would take her side. That's just who she is, entitled, manipulative, and completely incapable of taking responsibility for anything. And for as long as I can remember, my parents have enabled her. Growing up, Vanessa was the golden child. She could do no wrong. If she failed a class, the teacher was jealous of her. If she got caught sneaking out, my mom would sigh and say, "She's just young and adventurous." Meanwhile, if I so much as forgot to take out the trash, I'd get a full-blown lecture about responsibility. I learned pretty quickly that no matter how much I did right, Vanessa would always come first. But I never thought it would come to this. A few months ago, Vanessa came to me with big news. She had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start her own business, some kind of beauty brand. She said she had been dreaming of this for years, that she finally had the perfect plan, but there was just one problem. She didn't have the money to start. And that's where I came in. She needed $50,000. I laughed in her face. There was no way I was just handing her that kind of money. But Vanessa wasn't giving up that easily. She turned on the waterworks, swore she was serious this time, that she had changed, and that all she needed was a little help to finally make something of herself. I should have walked away. But against my better judgment, I agreed, under strict conditions. It would be a loan, not a gift. She had to sign a contract with repayment terms. She needed to show me a legitimate business plan. She had to get a co-signer. To my surprise, Vanessa agreed to everything without hesitation. She signed the paperwork, showed me some half-decent business projections, and even my parents backed her up, swearing she was turning over a new leaf. I wired her the money. And for a few weeks, everything seemed fine. Then one day, I scrolled through Instagram and nearly choked on my coffee. Because there she was, posing for selfies, showing off a brand new nose, fuller lips, and a completely different face. She didn't start a business. She blew every single dollar on plastic surgery. And that's when I realized Vanessa had just made the biggest mistake of her life. I should have known better than to trust Vanessa. This wasn't the first time she'd pulled something like this, but it was definitely the worst. Growing up, she had a habit of bending the truth to get what she wanted. If lying was an Olympic sport, she'd have multiple gold medals by now. The problem was, everyone let her get away with it. My parents especially. They always made excuses for her, no matter what she did. If she failed a test, it was the teacher's fault. If she crashed a car, it was because the other driver wasn't paying attention. And if she ever got caught in a lie, she'd turn on the waterworks and suddenly, she was the victim. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one. The one who worked hard, followed the rules, and didn't ask for anything. If I ever made a mistake, I was held accountable. If Vanessa messed up, she got a free pass. That's just how things were in my family. And honestly, I got used to it, but this time, she had crossed a line. I sat there staring at my phone, scrolling through her Instagram feed in disbelief. Just 2 weeks ago, she had been crying to me about how much this business meant to her, how she was finally ready to take charge of her life. And now, she was proudly showing off her brand new face. Her captions were full of fake inspiration. Things like, "New nose, new me," and "Invest in yourself." It was disgusting. She hadn't invested in anything except a bigger ego. And the worst part, she still hadn't said a word to me about it. I decided to test her. I sent her a simple text. Me. "Hey, how's the business going?" It took her less than a minute to respond. "Vanessa, OMG, it's been amazing. I've been so busy with all the planning. I can't wait to show you everything soon." I felt my jaw clench. She was still lying. Even after publicly posting her plastic surgery results, she had the audacity to pretend she was working on this fake business. At that moment, I knew. I wasn't just going to let this go. Vanessa thought she could scam me out of $50,000 and walk away like nothing happened. Not this time. She was about to learn that I wasn't like our parents. I wasn't just going to sit there and let her get away with it. I was going to make her pay. I wasn't going to rush this. If I wanted to make Vanessa pay, I had to be smart about it. She had spent years getting away with lies, twisting the truth, and charming her way out of every mess she created. But this time, she had signed a contract. I pulled up the loan agreement she had eagerly signed just weeks before. The terms were crystal clear. She had to pay me back in full within 12 months or face legal consequences. If she defaulted, I had every right to take legal action, including repossessing assets. Of course, back when she signed it, she probably assumed she'd never actually have to pay it back. She was about to find out how wrong she was. I decided to play along for now. Instead of confronting her directly, I acted completely normal. I even liked some of her Instagram posts, pretending I hadn't pieced everything together yet. I needed her to feel comfortable, because the moment she thought she had gotten away with it, that's when I'd strike. Step 1. Gathering evidence. The first thing I did was check her social media thoroughly. Not just her posts, but her tagged photos, her comments, and even her friends' accounts. I wanted to see if there were any signs of her actually starting a business. Spoiler alert, there weren't. Instead, I found something even better. Screenshots of DM conversations where she bragged about finally getting the surgery she always wanted. In one, she literally said, "Best investment ever. Who needs a business when you can just look rich instead?" I could have screamed. She had lied to my face, stolen my money, and then had the nerve to boast about it online. She had no idea that every arrogant post, every careless comment, was just fueling my case against her. Step 2. The confrontation. A week later, I decided it was time. I invited Vanessa to lunch, somewhere public, somewhere she wouldn't be able to throw a tantrum and make a scene. She showed up looking glamorous as ever, completely oblivious to what was coming. I let her talk first. She went on and on about how exciting things were with her new business, how she was in talks with investors, how things were moving fast. Finally, I leaned back in my chair and smiled. Me. That's great. So, tell me, when can I expect my first repayment? She blinked. The fake confidence on her face faltered for just a second before she quickly recovered. Vanessa. Things are just a little tight right now. You know how it is when you're starting a business. But don't worry, you'll get your money back soon. I reached into my bag, pulled out a thick envelope, and slid it across the table. Me. That's interesting, because this is a copy of our loan agreement, and according to this, you should have already made your first payment. Her face went pale. Vanessa. Wait, are you seriously pulling this legal stuff on me? I'm your sister. I didn't blink. Me. Yes, and you stole from me. She let out a nervous laugh, clearly trying to play it off. Vanessa. Oh, come on, it's not like that. I just reallocated the funds. Think of it as an investment in myself, and when I start making money, I'll... Me. No, Vanessa. You didn't reallocate anything. You lied. And now, you have exactly 30 days to start paying me back, or I'll be taking legal action. She flipped. She started yelling about how I was being unreasonable, how I was ruining her future, how I didn't understand the pressure she was under. I calmly reminded her that this was all her doing. And then, just to twist the knife deeper, I pulled out my phone and showed her screenshots of her own messages, the ones where she had laughed about scamming me. Her mouth snapped shut. Me. You're not getting away with this, Vanessa. She stormed out of the restaurant, fuming. But I wasn't worried, because I had one more trick up my sleeve. Step 3. The final blow. Vanessa thought she could dodge me, ignore my warnings, and keep living her Instagram perfect life. But she didn't realize something very important. Remember that cosigner I made her get? That was our mom. And legally? If Vanessa didn't pay, my mom was on the hook for the full amount. So, the next morning, I made one final move. I sent both of them a formal legal notice demanding repayment. If they didn't respond, the next step would be taking them to court. And just like that, everything came crashing down. My mom called me within minutes, panicked. "Mom, sweetheart, can't we talk about this? We're family." Me, "No, Mom. We were family before you let Vanessa steal from me. Now, we're just people who share DNA." Vanessa was screaming in the background, saying she couldn't believe I was actually going through with it. But I didn't care. I had given her every chance to fix this. Now? She was out of chances. Vanessa had officially run out of time. For weeks, she ignored my warnings, hoping I'd just forget about the $50,000 she stole. But she underestimated me. I wasn't bluffing. The legal notice I sent her and my mum, that was just the beginning. She had 30 days to respond. When the deadline passed with no payment, I took the next step. I filed a lawsuit. And that's when Vanessa finally realized she was screwed. The lawsuit begins. The moment she got served, my phone exploded with calls. Vanessa left hysterical voicemails, crying about how I was ruining her life and how she couldn't believe I would do this to her. But the best one? "Vanessa, you don't understand. I don't have the money. What do you want me to do? Just magically make it appear." I smiled as I listened to it. Because yes, Vanessa, that's exactly what I wanted. She had $50,000 when she was booking surgeries, flying out to consultations, and showing off her new face. But now that it was time to pay up, suddenly she was broke. Not my problem. Since Mum was the co-signer, she panicked even more than Vanessa. She begged me to drop the lawsuit, tried to guilt-trip me with the whole "we're family" routine. I shut that down fast. Me, family doesn't steal from each other. She tried one last trick. She offered to pay me a fraction of what I was owed if I dropped everything. I refused. I didn't want a piece of my money back. I wanted all of it, and I was about to get it. Vanessa's fake glam life falls apart. Things got ugly fast. Since Vanessa didn't have the money, the court seized her assets. Her luxury handbags, designer shoes, even the car she was driving, all gone. She tried to act like she was still living her best life online, but it didn't take long for people to notice. Her rich girl act, completely shattered. The best part? Some of her friends turned on her. Once word got out that she had scammed me out of $50,000 and lost everything, they dropped her fast. "Damn, girl, I thought you had money. Turns out you're just a scammer." "Wait, you lied about starting a business just to get surgery? That's wild." Her follower count started dropping, and she couldn't stand it. For years, Vanessa built her whole personality around looking like she had a perfect, glamorous life. And now, everyone knew she was a fraud. And I was just getting started. The final blow. By this point, my lawsuit was moving fast. The judge ruled in my favor. Vanessa was officially, legally required to pay me back, every single cent. Since she had no money left, the court garnished her wages, meaning every paycheck she earned now had a huge chunk taken out to pay me back. She tried one last desperate move. She called me, sobbing. "Vanessa, please, I learned my lesson. I have nothing left. Can't we work something out?" I took a deep breath and smiled. Me, "No. You made your choices, Vanessa. Now you get to live with them." And then I hung up. Vanessa's new reality. The once spoiled golden child was now broke, humiliated and stuck in a low-paying job. She went from bragging about her luxurious life to struggling to afford rent. She had to move out of her expensive apartment, sell more of her belongings, and, worst of all, get a real job. And me? I got every dollar back. It took a while, but every time I saw those payments hit my account, I smiled. Because this time, Vanessa didn't win. Vanessa's downfall wasn't just about the money. It was about everything she had spent her life pretending to be. For years, she acted like she was better than everyone else. like she was too good for a regular job, like she was destined for some glamorous life where things just magically worked out for her. But now, reality hit her hard. The fallout. The lawsuit had left her with nothing. Her bank accounts were drained. Her credit, destroyed. She had to move back home with my parents, who, for the first time in their lives, couldn't bail her out. They had co-signed the loan, and since Vanessa didn't pay, they were on the hook for it too. Suddenly they were struggling. And let me tell you, the irony was delicious. The same parents who spent years catering to her every whim, making excuse after excuse for her behavior, were now suffering because of her. My mom called me one day, begging for help. "Mom, please. I know things got out of hand, but she's still your sister. You got your money back, isn't that enough?" I laughed. Actually laughed. Me. "No, Mom, it's not. You always protected her, no matter what she did. Now, you can deal with the consequences." And for the first time ever, she had nothing to say. Vanessa's life now. With her luxury lifestyle gone, Vanessa had to get a real job. No more influencer life. No more free rides. No more plastic surgery fantasies. Just a minimum wage retail job where she had to deal with the same kind of basic people she used to mock. She hated every second of it. She tried to rebuild her online presence, but the damage was done. People knew the truth now. Her fans abandoned her. Her rich friends disappeared. She wasn't some glamorous beauty mogul. She was just another broke, failed scammer. And that was worse than anything else I could have done to her. Moving on. At first, I thought I'd feel bad about what I did, that some part of me would regret how hard I went after her. But you know what? I don't. Because this wasn't revenge. It was justice. Vanessa spent her whole life believing she could lie, manipulate, and scam her way through life. She thought she could cheat her way to success, and that someone else would always clean up the mess for her. But not this time. This time, she had to clean it up herself. And me? I walked away free. Free from the guilt, free from the anger, free from her. Because for the first time ever, Vanessa was finally learning what it meant to live with her own mistakes. And I never looked back.